Jack got himself a corpse, pretending it was his own father, and rushed it to a local hospital. With tearful eyes, he begged the doctors to save his dad, saying he'd pay any amount. Without even examining the patient, the doctors pushed the body straight into the operating room. They quickly discovered the patient was already dead, but decided to proceed with the surgery anyway. They saw right through Jack's psyche, seeing how much he loved his father, knowing that in this life or death moment, he'd spend every last penny. It was the perfect opportunity to bleed him dry. So the doctors started their act, going in and out of the operating room, pretending to be desperately trying to save a life. The doctor handed Jack a list, saying his father's condition was critical, and he needed to buy medicines immediately. But these special drugs could only be bought at the pharmacy next to the hospital, because nowhere else had them. With no other choice, Jack followed the doctor's orders, and bought 2 big bags full of medicines, spending half a year's salary. He handed the medicine bags to the nurse, constantly asking what these drugs were for, but she just dismissed him with flimsy excuses. The second she turned her back, the nurse returned the unopened medicines to the pharmacy, even scolding the pharmacist for not giving Jack more expensive drugs with bigger kickbacks. Meanwhile, Jack anxiously waited outside the operating room, while the doctors and nurses fooled around in the ICU, not caring at all whether the patient lived or died. Soon after, the doctor put on a worried look, claiming the patient had a brain hemorrhage, and needed a specialist to perform surgery. Just like that, they conned Jack into paying a hefty specialist fee. After the specialist arrived, the doctors used the same old trick, pretending to work hard for 6 hours, before coming out to announce his father's death. This time, Jack stopped playing along with their charade, looking the doctor straight in the eye. With an icy tone, he exposed their scam. "My father? No, this isn't my father. This is a stranger who died days ago. Yet you pretended to try to save him for 6 hours." The doctor's face turned pale. He grabbed the death certificate, his hands shaking like a leaf as he tried to stuff it in his mouth, to destroy the evidence. A smile played on the corner of Jack's lips, his gaze sharp and knowing, as he pulled out another death certificate from his bag. Seeing the second certificate, the hospital staff's faces turned ashen. Completely panicked, the hospital grudgingly agreed to settle with compensation. Jack gave the money to the deceased's real family, then exposed the hospital's scam to everyone. An angry crowd cornered the hospital manager in the parking lot. The manager actually pulled out a gun to threaten them, forgetting he was facing people who had lost everything. In the chaos, the manager's gun went off, and he fell dead in a pool of blood. This completely enraged the hospital's behind-the-scenes boss. After repeatedly watching the surveillance footage, studying Jack's every move, the boss decided to take revenge. This stunning story comes from the Indian film Ankur Arora murder case.